the generations in Megillas Eicha. And you can unlock them and enter them into your mind and your heart if you listen carefully. So this is a night of crying. A night, if you're sensitive, you can hear the crying of all the generations and all the Bria and all the Malachim and even HaKadosh Baruch. And we have the ability to correct all of this with our tears. If we cry the right kind of tears, if we want enough that imperfection should go away and the things that we're missing we should get back, and we want it enough to do something about it, and to correct the situation starting with ourselves, and then correcting the situation in the world. And those are the tears of Rachel Imeinu. Rachel mevaka al boneha, and her tears produce results. Yesh tikva lachrisei v'shavu bonim likvulam. And there's plenty to cry about. Forget about history, current events. How can you not cry? How can you not be upset of a world that hates us? A world that threatens us. Iran, and they're not the only one. They're just the most vociferous. Threatening to wipe us off the map. The atomic bomb. How can we sit complacent and just... They mean it. And the world doesn't care. Just the opposite. The world is a place of sheker. Who couldn't be disgusted with the hypocrisy of what happened by that flotilla? Us being condemned for defending ourselves from peace activists. The sheker is so obvious and the world doesn't want to see. Doesn't it make a person disgusted? Enough already. To cry. You can't take this sheker. There's no emes in the world. There's no shalom in the world. The chilul Hashem. Isn't that enough to make people at least want to cry? If our hearts are stone, I speak for myself. My schus is that halavai, maybe I'll get somebody here to cry. You'll be my shliach. I find it very hard to cry. Our hearts have turned to stone. But there's still people in this world that have hearts somewhat of flesh and blood. And they can cry. So if you cry because of something I say tonight, tomorrow, at least have in mind that you want me to have a little bit of a schus in that too. But maybe I caused it a little bit, so I'll get a schus through you. These are the kind of tears that we should cry tonight. Not tears of abandonment and hopelessness, but tears that lead to positive action. Tears that recognize what's important in this world, to want it back and to do something about it. Tears that are represented by the following. If you can't cry on this, I don't know what. David Moses, a 16-year-old boy, one of those murdered by that cursed Arab, Shem Rishoyim Yirkov, who massacred the Talmidim in Merkaz HaRav. 16-year-old boy. His mother wrote him after he was killed. She wrote him the following letter to express her feelings. Avram David, sometimes I feel guilty for not feeling worse. Don't misunderstand me. I miss you terribly. and I miss the effect your pure soul had in this world. Sometimes I fear I will cause you suffering by not grieving even more painfully. I know how much you love me, but as much as I still need you, you do not need me. Instead, as much as I can, the energy I could expend feeling bereft, I will channel into taking care of those precious souls that are entrusted to me. Thank you for being my son. I love you, Ima. P.S. I want to thank Hashem again for letting me be your mother. There is no gift greater than the gift of motherhood. Here's a mother who had plenty to cry about. But she realized that instead of crying and expending her energy in that way, the grief and the crying was to be used for positive, to recognize how important it is to right the situation and make it that there's no reason to cry anymore. To take care of her children, the ones that are still alive. That was the purpose of how she appreciated this child. Put that appreciation into the children that are still alive. That's the kind of crying we have to have. Not a debilitating crying just for the past, just for the present. But once we cry and we appreciate what we could have and what we can accomplish, then to use that energy of those tears in a positive way and do something about it. When we cry properly, then we're guaranteed that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will hear our cries, and the cries will affect what they're supposed to affect. If you want something enough, and cry for it honestly. Karov Hashem l'chol korov, l'chol asher yikra'uhu be'emes. I want to read you one last story of how a cry you get what you want, if it's true, if it's really sincere.